The city of Utrecht, situated at the intersection of the Rhine, Vecht, and Amstel rivers, maintained a strategic position within the Dutch Republic during the mid-18th century. Its geographic location facilitated trade, transport, and communication across the northern provinces and with neighboring regions. During this period, Utrecht's population remained moderately concentrated, with the city's historic core housing craftsmen, merchants, and civic officials. The narrow streets and canal network supported both pedestrian and horse-drawn traffic, reflecting the city's urban planning traditions established in earlier centuries. Agricultural production in the surrounding Utrecht's Heuvelrug and Polder regions supplied the city with grains, vegetables, and dairy products. Local farmers relied on a system of windmills and canals to manage water levels and maintain fertile fields, ensuring a steady flow of food to urban markets. The economy of Utrecht in 1740 was characterized by a combination of artisanal workshops and small-scale trade. Linen, textiles, and pottery remained important local products, while merchants engaged in regional trade of salt, herring, and grain. Economic activity was closely tied to river transport networks. Guilds maintained control over skilled trades, regulating apprenticeships and production standards. Membership in these organizations provided craftsmen with social security, status, and collective influence over municipal regulations, reinforcing traditional hierarchies within the urban economy. Political authority in Utrecht was exercised by a city council, known as the Vroedschap, comprised largely of wealthy burghers. These officials managed taxation, law enforcement, and urban planning, balancing the interests of local elites with the broader governance structures of the Dutch Republic. The Dutch Republic itself remained a decentralized confederation of provinces, each retaining autonomy over taxation and defense. Utrecht's urban governance operated within this framework, negotiating privileges and obligations that reflected the city's historical significance and strategic location. Socially, the city exhibited a pronounced division between the merchant elite and lower-class laborers. The economic hierarchy determined access to education, property, and political participation, while poorer inhabitants often relied on charitable institutions or guild support for subsistence. Religious life remained influential in daily affairs. Protestant congregations dominated the urban landscape, maintaining churches, schools, and charitable programs. Catholic communities persisted, often practicing in semi-private chapels due to legal restrictions imposed after earlier conflicts. The period witnessed incremental urban development, with canal maintenance and modest expansions of residential areas. These improvements facilitated trade and transport while also reflecting the city's continuing adaptation to population pressures and the evolving demands of commerce. Civic festivals and public ceremonies reinforced the city's social cohesion. Annual events commemorated historical treaties, religious observances, and guild anniversaries, providing structured opportunities for communal participation and the reinforcement of municipal identity. Economic fluctuations in the mid-18th century were influenced by broader European markets. Utrecht's merchants navigated the instability of grain prices, maritime trade risks, and the competition posed by emerging centers in Holland, requiring careful management of inventories and credit arrangements. The city's relationship with neighboring provinces affected both commerce and politics. Utrecht's location on key river routes enabled it to act as a hub for the movement of goods, while its proximity to larger ports in Amsterdam and Rotterdam shaped economic opportunities and challenges. Education and literacy levels were gradually improving, particularly among the merchant class. Civic schools, private tutors, and religious institutions contributed to the development of a literate urban population capable of managing accounts, correspondence, and legal documents. Public health remained a concern, as periodic outbreaks of smallpox, dysentery, and other illnesses affected both urban and rural populations. Municipal authorities maintained rudimentary sanitation measures, including canal cleaning and the regulation of waste disposal, to mitigate disease. Utrecht's political role within the Republic allowed it to contribute delegates to provincial assemblies. These representatives negotiated matters such as taxation, defense, and trade regulations, reflecting the city's integration into a broader network of provincial decision-making. The urban economy supported artisans, merchants, and laborers through a combination of localized production and regional distribution networks. Goods produced in workshops were transported along canals to surrounding towns, linking Utrecht to both inland and coastal markets efficiently. Religious and civic institutions maintained records essential for administration. Baptism, marriage, and burial registries provided data on population trends, while guild and civic archives documented economic transactions, reinforcing the bureaucratic structure of the city. Social hierarchies influenced access to housing, with wealthier families occupying canal-front residences and smaller homes reserved for artisans and laborers located on narrower streets. This spatial organization reinforced economic and social stratification within the urban fabric. By the late 1750s, Utrecht's infrastructure reflected long-term structural continuity. The canals, streets, and defensive walls maintained patterns established centuries earlier, supporting both urban resilience and the city's role as a regional commercial hub. Cultural life was largely tied to civic and religious events. Public lectures, guild demonstrations, and religious processions provided structured social interaction, reinforcing shared norms, civic identity, and the influence of institutional authority over daily life.
The city's economy, social structures, and governance combined to produce a stable yet dynamic urban environment. Utrecht during this period exemplified the careful balance between local autonomy, regional trade, and integration within the Dutch Republic's decentralized political framework. Urban development, trade, and social organization in Utrecht remained consistent with its geographic advantages and historical trajectory. The city's ability to maintain economic activity, social cohesion, and civic administration laid the foundation for subsequent decades of gradual growth and adaptation. By the early 1760s, Utrecht continued to experience moderate population growth, largely concentrated within the city's historic core and along canal corridors. Expansion was constrained by pre-existing fortifications, maintaining a dense urban layout while encouraging more vertical construction in certain neighborhoods. The city's geographic position along the Vecht and Rhine rivers continued to facilitate trade and communication with surrounding provinces. Utrecht's river-Rhine connections allowed merchants to transport grain, timber, and textiles efficiently, sustaining the local economy while reinforcing its regional importance. Economic activity in this period increasingly depended on a combination of artisanal production and small-scale commerce. Linen weaving, pottery, and woodworking remained vital industries, while trade in imported goods such as sugar, coffee, and spices supplemented local revenues. Guilds retained regulatory authority over trades, maintaining apprenticeship standards and controlling the quality of production. Membership provided both social recognition and economic security, reinforcing hierarchies and contributing to the city's structured labor system. Political administration continued under the Vroedschap, where wealthy burghers directed taxation, legal matters, and urban infrastructure projects. Their governance reflected continuity, balancing civic responsibilities with private economic interests while navigating the decentralized structure of the Dutch Republic. Religious life remained central to social order. Protestant congregations oversaw schools, charitable programs, and church councils, shaping education and social welfare, while Catholic communities continued discreet worship, maintaining networks of mutual support within legal constraints. Increased trade activity exposed Utrecht to broader market fluctuations. Grain prices, river tolls, and maritime shipping risks affected merchants' revenues, requiring careful financial planning and the use of credit to manage inventories across regional and international networks. Public health continued as a municipal concern. Authorities monitored water quality in canals, controlled waste disposal, and maintained basic sanitation, aiming to mitigate recurring outbreaks of diseases such as smallpox, influenza, and gastrointestinal illnesses. The city maintained a clear social hierarchy. Wealthy merchant families occupied canal-side homes, while artisans and laborers lived in narrower streets or peripheral neighborhoods. Social status determined access to education, property ownership, and participation in civic institutions. Education expanded gradually through civic schools and private instruction. Literacy among the urban elite enabled more effective management of businesses, legal affairs, and correspondence, while educational opportunities for lower-class children remained limited but present through church-based programs. Urban infrastructure continued to reflect historical patterns. Canals, bridges, and fortified walls were maintained systematically, supporting commerce and transportation, while incremental street improvements enhanced accessibility without altering the city's essential layout. Economic consequences of European conflicts indirectly influenced Utrecht. Trade routes were disrupted periodically by maritime and continental tensions, affecting local supply chains and necessitating adjustments in inventory, credit arrangements, and merchant networks. The city's integration into regional politics remained significant. Utrecht provided delegates to provincial assemblies,